So what we have here then are two Geforce GTX 8800. No, I tell why. These are Geforce 8800GT graphics cards. I have two of them, and paid the guy €7.50 each for these. And if you did watch the intro to this week, what we bought at the car boot junk sale, you'll know that I think these are for an Apple Mac. I don't believe these are for a PC. And that's just by looking on eBay and looking at the pictures, and that's what they seem to be. But as I said, we probably have no way of testing these. I don't have a Mac here. I don't know how to test these things. I don't know if it's possible to reprogram the BIOS and test them in a PC. No idea. But what I said is, well, let's have a look at them anyway and see what we've got. Because if these are for the Apple, these are quite worth repairing. They're worth quite a decent amount of money. So let's just get a good screwdriver and let's have a look, see first if we can say anything obvious about these. I suspect these are probably working. I think somebody had these in a PC, or a computer shop had them, thought they were for a PC and stuck them in, and they just didn't work. The connector's PCIe, same as a PC. Physically, I think it would fit. I haven't tried one, but I suspect it would. So what the difference is, apart from the BIOS, I don't know what makes one of these for a PC and one of these for an Apple. You can certainly get the same graphics card for PC, different casing on, sort of gamey. See what I'm doing here? I told you guys not to do this. I'm putting all the screws on the desk, and I advise don't do that. Put them in a little plastic tub, because sooner or later you're going to start losing bits and bobs. And there you go. I'm advising you guys what to do then. Go in and do the opposite myself. So if you see me doing that on the channel, anything where I've said, hey, really, you should be doing this, and then I'm doing that, you pull me up on it and you say, hey, Rich, come on, what's this? Do as I say, don't do as I do. You know? So there we have one of these apart. I think that'll come apart now. Yeah, nothing else holding this together. Okay, so we've looked at, if you watched the previous video on the GTX 280, you will have seen something like this before. So that's what we have in the graphics card. These things are heatsink pads. I'm just going to go to the view. These are heatsink pads. So I think first of all, let's see if we can get these off here and stick them back where they belong on the heatsink. And then we can see the PCB. One goes there, one goes there. You can see these raised sections, so it's fairly obvious where these actually come from. One goes there. Another one goes there. And then there's this big piece over all these MOSFETs down here. Lift off gently. That goes there. Okay. So there's our graphics card. I'll disconnect the this little feed here. Sometimes this can be a bit fiddly to get these out. Yeah, this one again. I often have trouble getting these out. If anybody wants to comment on the video and suggest a better way than how I'm doing it, but what I normally have to do is kind of get a sharp blade thing down these edges, and just bend that plastic away a little bit, and then normally they will come out. Yeah, there we are. You see, that doesn't seem to cause a problem when you put them back together. Well, we've seen that side before, so there we have. And while we're at it, yeah, let's dismantle the other one as well. Then we can have a look to see what we have here. I should have known that screwdriver doesn't fit very well, because it didn't fit very well in the other one. And then what do I do? I go and use the same one. We'll try to. So let's dismantle this one. one I can't get that one. It's too tight. This screwdriver probably isn't exactly fitting into the heads of these. So if they're not overly tight, it's coming off. It's definitely one thing you're going to need around your workshop. There's quite a few tools. I think what we'll do is on another video, we'll have, in the beginners, we'll put a beginner section on this channel as well, and we'll have a look around the workshop. We'll see what equipment we have, and we'll have a look at my toolbox, and we'll see what I have here, and maybe give you some idea. I tend to buy tools that once you get the basics, I get them as I need them, you know. If I come across something I haven't got the right tool, I go and get it. Will this one come? No, that one ain't going to go. So let's get something different. Got this at the car boot itself for a couple of euros or something. Certainly no more than 5. But this has quite a few different sized ends, and with this I can generally find one that does fit. Yeah, that one feels like it fits. You can see these things, just magnetic screwdrivers. Yeah, actually that one fits it. Because you know what you need to do with these, you always need to keep them tidy, you need to keep all your tools where they should be, and of course you don't. And the next time you want one of the bits it's missing, so you know, do yourself a favour, you know. Right, yeah, I'm going to crack this one open, and we have much the same situation. So we'll again we'll lift some of these pads here. Come off. It's really quite squashed, doesn't want to come off there. Stick it on down here. This one's a bit squashed, you can see, but I'm sure it actually does its job. One here. Oh, where'd that one go? Goes here, I think. We can check. And this one. Actually, I'm not sure where that one goes. Oh no, it doesn't go there at all. Stupid Richard. It goes over here. Somewhere up there. And this one, yeah, just gently lift it up. You don't want to be breaking these. If you start breaking these, you know what's going to happen. You have to buy some more of the stuff. And okay, if it's an expensive repair, but you know, if you can keep the cost down and still have something that works properly, why not? Again, we won't even try to remove this the other way. We'll get the blade in there and in there, and then we'll try and just see if this will come out. That one doesn't. Yeah, there it goes. Huh, what's that? This has come off something here because it wasn't on the desk before. This is a good example. You know, I was mentioning, like, to keep your workspace clean, to keep it tidy. And the good reason is because when something like this comes off from somewhere, it's obvious straight away that that's come off from somewhere. So, like a very thin plastic shim. Something else fell off. Just a bit of plastic or something. Not sure what this is. We'll put it in the box of bits. Maybe when we compare the two cards, we'll see that one of them has it, one's missing. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Where's the tweezers? That is a surface mount capacitor. Let's see that a little more clearly. Let's make the tweezers. That's an SMD capacitor. That's come off one of these two. I only spotted it after I take them both apart. If you didn't need a better example of what I was just saying before about keeping your workplace clean between jobs, that is a perfect example, because we now know 100% that has come off one of these. If we had a mess around the bench, we wouldn't probably even notice. So if you really need proof, there's the proof of the pudding, as you say. Yeah, proof is in the pudding. Stick that over there. So we have two graphics cards, one minus a capacitor from somewhere, one minus a little plastic shim from somewhere. Let's see what we have. Okay, first impressions. Let's just move that camera a little bit further. No, downwards. Try that. First impressions, pretty good. They look quite clean. These will probably go in the sink in a bit, same as the other one did. But let's have a look. Let's see if we can see anything obvious, really obvious with these. First of things, what we're looking at. Most of the components on this side, a few on that side. These things, tell you now, these are voltage regulators or possibly FETs, probably voltage regulators. This will probably be some sort of power supply controller chip. You notice I looked to the other side, I'll tell you why it's a power supply controller chip. Some of this is probably to do with monitoring or connecting to the PCI. Do you remember that 280 we had? Similar thing, really. Look what you have here. This is similar to what that is. These are the RAM chips. Yeah, that are both sides. This is the GPU. This area, all this area is power supply. And this power supply, there's two big coils here. The biggest coils will be powering the highest, the component that takes the most power, the GPU. This area up here, another power supply. We can pretty certain to guess this is going to be powering the RAM. This little power supply down here, we had it on the 280. This will be a startup, so this will be powered from the PCI connector here. We have 5 volts and 12 volts coming in on the two sides here. This will be the startup power supply. That, if you remember, if you watch the video, this needs to start first before anything else can power up. So we know what that is. This probably like the other one. Yeah, the other one, if you remember, this has an SLI control chip here. This has an SLI connector. It's possible that this SLI connector for the Mac, if that's what they might have, isn't used. Therefore, this chip that is the communication with that isn't used. Remember, if I saw this on the other one, I didn't know what that was. Now, straight away, look at the other one. I've got a very good idea of what that is. And in this case, it seems to be an option. Other boards, the same, obviously. So, let's see what we can see. First thing, let's do the first thing. A lot of graphics cards fail because they overheat. And they overheat because the heatsink compound on the GPU is dry. That's a bit pasty. That's quite dry. I mean, you see it's coming off with my finger. If I just rub gently, but if I'm just rubbing gently on this, there's a bit. There's not a lot. We can look at the heat sinks here. That's a bit sticky. That's a little bit drier. It was probably connecting. I mean, the heatsink compound wants replacing, but I don't think that was dried out to a point where it would actually cause these to fail. Could be wrong. At the end of the day, all this is supposition. We make a best guess. So let's clean that crap off to start off with. just, well, let's just get some of this rubbish. Say rubbish, I see sync compact. It's not exactly rubbish, but we don't want it on our board at the moment, so let's get it off there. Get rid of that stuff. A bit more here. Okay. We know, I mean, it's fairly obvious, we know this is going to be a 12 volt connector. Well, on a PC this would be a 12 volt connector. I'm guessing on a Mac, if that's what these are off, this would be 12 volts. I'm just going to try something here. This connector here, I'm not sure if that's actually the same as connector you get on an ATX power supply. Whether it is or whether it isn't, I'm not sure if it's relevant, because I don't know if this Apple Mac has a PC ATX power supply. But I'm just going to plug a PSU in there just to see if it actually physically does fit. Because if it doesn't fit, then that's yet again even more evidence to tell us that these are for an Apple, not for a PC. If it does fit, it's a bit inconclusive, you know. I mean, we also don't know whether the same sort of supply is used on an Apple. Yeah, it fits. It fits. And as soon as it fits, we can pretty well say, assuming the polarity is the same, the ones nearest the end are the 12 volt, which is exactly the same as what was on the GTX 280 that we were looking at last week. Possibly that's a standard, possibly they're always that way around. So we'll put the meter onto the low ohms mode. Let's put this somewhere where you can see it. Try that, eh? Not quite zeroed, yeah, 0.2, probably about 0.1, 0.2. What that's really doing is measuring a little bit resistance in the leads themselves. Black one to ground, as good a place as any for ground as on these connectors here. And let's have a look first. So let's have a look at the power coming in, the 12 volts. There's no short there. In fact, we can go directly across. So we know we don't have a short circuit on the 12 volts. So that's good. That's good. Second thing to look, all these capacitors here and these tantalum capacitors here, these will be on the low voltage side. So what we have here is a coil, you can see, and under here these are MOSFETs, and this is what's called a buck regulator circuit. On the back, do you remember this little chip here? I said this is a controller. This will be controlling. On this one we have phase 1, phase 2. Okay, do you remember the GTX 280 had 5 phases for the GPU? This has 2 phases. It also has another single phase here. I'm certain that'll be for the RAM. There's one coil, there's another coil, there's probably another little power supply here that's powering something on here. We can have a look at it. But that gives us an idea what we got. So, from these coils here, these big coils, this is where the power supply for this is going to be like 1 volt or 0.8 or a volt or 1.2. I mean, it depends on the GPU. But it's going to be a low voltage. So let's have a look if we have a short from here to ground. 0.8. These capacitors will also be on that same, I'm sure they'll be on the same rail. One side of the capacitor will be ground, that one 0.2. The other side, yeah, 0.8. So this GPU is reading 0.8. You get some people again, that's a short circuit. Nah, it's not a short circuit, that's a low resistance. If you watch the other video, the video on the GTX 280, I did a similar check on that and I got 0.6. Let's see what this one is of interest. So we're going from the big coils. 0.9, it's damn close. You know, 0.1 difference, I mean, that's not something. Okay, there's a slight difference, but I'm not sure I'm too worried about that. It's 0.7 this time. Often this 0.1 of an ohm will be down to how well you get into contact on here. So they're both reading about the same, 0.8 minus the 0.2, about 0.6. The other one, the 280, was reading about 0.5. But you remember, that one works. And that proves without a doubt that when you see a 0.8, 0.6 on the GPU, it probably isn't short circuit. Probably. Generally speaking, the older the graphics card, the earlier ones will read a higher resistance. The later the cards will read a lower resistance. I haven't had the chance to work anything like RTX 2000, 3000 series cards, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're reading like 0.3. You know, it wouldn't surprise me at all. So I think we're confident, and we're confident from the last repair, we probably don't have a short circuit GPU. We don't have a short circuit on the 12. This supply, they're doing something, so let's have a look and see what we have. As I'm pretty sure this one will be the RAM. So I can come from here. This is ground. Yeah, 97. I think the RAM on that GTX 2080 read about 130 or something. So that seems reasonable for a RAM. When you see this 100 or so, I'm pretty sure you can be confident. Every time you see that, it's going to be RAM. This one here will probably be very high. Yeah. Go up into the ohms range. This will probably be very high. It's reading like this because it's charging capacitors on the board. I'm up to 4 kilobytes. This one down here also will probably be very high. For 4 megohms. And while we're at it, let's have a look at the ones over here. This one here, I'm expecting this to be high. 2.3K, 3 meg, very high. And the reason these are very high is because they're not powering very much. That card, from what I'm measuring of those buck circuits, looks good to me. Let's have a quick look at the other one. Let's just see if we get this very similar. So I'm finding ground points just wherever I want to find them. It's not really important where you find your ground. Yeah, I think it's about 4K on the other one. I'm getting about the same. This one was very high. I think this one will give you the capacitor charging, if you remember. 20 kilo ohms. That's high. This one was in the mega ohms region or something. This was really... Oh, no, that's interesting. That seems to be different. So that one's got 290 ohms on there. So look at the same coil on the other one. I'll put my ground on exactly the same place. Oh no, I just wasn't getting a good connection. 290, 293. That looks okay. Then what we can assume from that is there's no short circuits. And we can also assume, I think, that if there's not necessarily a short, but there's some components on the power rail that is effectively wrong, drawing too much power, it would be the same fault on both boards. These look the same, and it would seem, yeah, you can have common faults that happen a lot, and that can happen, but I think these are basically, we're not finding any fault. They're reading the same, and we're not seeing anything wrong here. Let's have a quick look on the rear of this board. I saw these power components. Remember this and this. Let's get the magnifier now on the microscope, and let's have a look to see what they are, and a bit of a look around the board as well for anything else obvious. Okay, we'll just switch to the other camera.